Hello, welcome to Middle East in Depth, part of Levant TV's Press Reviews. In the Daily Star in Lebanon, an article is written on Yemen, arguing that for the sake of what remains of a cohesive Yemeni state, it is essential that the Houthis and their backers now take the opportunity for peace and take part in genuine dialogue involving all sides. The Saudi-led coalition late Tuesday announced an end to airstrikes against fixed military targets, and the development was welcomed by Washington and Tehran. US President Barack Obama stressed that Iran should be part of the solution, not part of the problem, and this idea is imperative now for the future stability of Yemen. The Houthis have now said they are willing to take part in UN-sponsored peace talks, but only once the aerial campaign stops fully. But they are in no position to make demands and would do well to first commit to the talks. The Saudis have made it clear that they are now committed to the reconstruction stage and to securing a brighter future for Sana'a and Aden and everything in between. Iran has to now ensure that its proxies also share this attitude and are willing to make the necessary concessions for the good of the entire country and its people, and not just for their followers and for boosting their support bases. According to the Daily Star, events in Yemen have revealed the country to be a heady mix of competing powers, a situation which has implications well beyond its borders. The article then concludes by saying that having ignored events in Yemen for far too long now, the international community must also make concerted efforts to support peace talks and to offer the necessary support for this very fractured state. And now let's make a call to Sana'a in Yemen to talk to Yemeni political and information analyst Hesham Al-Omeisy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hesham, tell us about the humanitarian situation in Yemen today.
It is actually very catastrophic right now. There's very little electricity, which only came back 2 days ago. There's a complete lack of gas, food, drugs, medical supplies. It's a humanitarian crisis, basically.
And do you know if there are any political motives behind the scarcity of resources?
Well, what it seems to be a choke point, that they're trying to get the population, the local population, to rise up and revolt against the Houthis, being the main reason for this. But the people on the ground do not see that. The reality is, it is the Saudi-led coalition that blocks the seaports, the airports. They're the ones leading the airstrikes, bombarding locations and areas that are densely populated. So the people's anger and resentment is directed at the coalition, not at the Houthis. Mm-hmm. It is true that the Houthis did hijack the government. They did move into the cities, but they were not the ones who caused the current disaster. For 3 weeks, the blockade that has been implemented on the seaports or airports, blocking the food that is coming into Yemen, the fuel that is coming into Yemen, the electricity that feeds the main goods, that is actually the Saudi-led coalition, not the Houthis. Mm-hmm. So the campaign has been very counterproductive in that manner.
Yes, and do you think NGOs are playing an effective role nowadays there?
They are trying to play an effective role, but again, if you see the press releases from Oxfam, from the Red Cross, from from MSF, which is basically the Doctors Without Borders,
yes,
the coalition actually targeted their offices in Sana'a and other places in Yemen.
But would they not complain, like Médecins Sans Frontières? Wouldn't they complain about such a violation?
They did. They did actually, and they did complain, and they did issue press releases, and they condemned the airstrikes that targeted their offices and their buildings.
Mm-hmm. And do you see a way out very soon when it comes to those basic necessities for Yemeni people?
Honestly, although the humanitarian international NGOs are trying to do their best, they're trying to have flights coming to Yemen, but no number of flights are going to be sufficient to cover the local needs. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 flights a day, which carries basically about 15 to 20 tons of medical supplies, when actually people locally need food, gas, electricity. This does not cover the needs.
Riyadh, Saudi Arabia has vowed to start supplying aid for Yemen and to restore stability and basic necessities there. What do you have to say about that?
Well, they did say that at the onset of the coalition strikes in Yemen, which was almost a month ago. We haven't seen any of that yet. The situation is getting worse on the ground, and all we hear is promises. Some fund that has been created by the Saudi-led coalition, which they call the Salman Fund. They placed $247 million in that fund. Yemenis on the ground haven't seen any of that yet.
Hesham Al-Omeisy joined us from Sana'a in Yemen. Thank you very much for joining us at very short notice today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for more updates, please visit Levant.tv. Or subscribe to Middle East in Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching and bye for now.